Yeah, I'm fucking burnt after watching that shit.
Yeah.
We'll just start off with that.
What we've got here is...
I just saw this movie podcast. Welcome. It's your favorite uncut, uncensored, spoiler-filled podcast. I'm your host, Matt Brano. And I actually have a very special guest with me today, a good friend, Chris Stuckman. Chris, how are you today?
I am doing well. I am very happy to be here.
If you don't know who Chris is, you really should. And if you don't, link will be in the description down below, the credits for this collaboration. This guy likes Star Wars. I like Star Wars too. And we saw this... it was your holiday Christmas party. You all went as a group of friends.
Yeah, it was originally, we saw it together back in December. I had already seen it twice.
Yeah.
And I saw it a third time with you and some of our friends.
Yeah, and I was watching this movie and it started off, we're going to talk all about this in the beginning here, but I just want to say this about the party. I sat next to our friends, Drew, and the right to me was John. And Drew's a big Star Wars fan. And John's like a very, he's a writer, so he wants good stuff when he sees films. And I forget when I really checked out of this movie. But I remember I kept sighing. And then I think I said to John, I was like, this movie's kind of disappointing me. He goes, yes.
Yeah.
And our friend Drew to the left just was fucking loving it. And I thought this movie, because here's the thing, okay? I like Star Wars. I felt that this might have been the second or first look forward to movie for me for 2016. Because I love Force Awakens. The Force Awakens was so good to me.
Right.
But this film was not.
It was disappointing to me too. The first time I saw it, I would say my hype level was at a 10. I was there. I was ready. Mm-hmm. I was so excited. I mean, it's kind of a really cool time for Star Wars fans now.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because we're getting new films. But there's always that fear that with so much focus on a universe and so much focus on pumping out a movie every year, that the quality is going to dip. And I think really with Rogue One, this was my first time in seeing a well-intentioned movie that in the long run just felt very bland. And I think that's my biggest issue with this movie overall. Is I've seen it 4 times now, kind of 4.5 because I skimmed through it again when I was working on this analysis I'm going to be posting. And it's just every single time I've watched it, it's gotten increasingly worse.
Yeah. I watched it actually at the theater with you the first time, and I was like, I'm good, never seen that film really again. But I was like, oh, you know what? When the Blu-ray comes out, I'll have to see if I can do a review with you for this podcast. So I was like, you know what? I have to watch it a second time.
Yep.
And I'm still cool with not really seeing this movie again.
I don't know, man. The idea is great. What is this band of rebels? How did they get the Death Star plans? It could be, everyone went nuts about it being a war film. It's the first war film. You heard it in a billion.
Yeah.
Every review said it's a war film, the first Star Wars film that's actually a war film. And when I watch this movie, it just kind of feels like 7 people made it.
Yeah, I can see that. My brain is fucking fried after watching this movie. I had a headache before coming in and then went away. We had this really great burger joint called Swenson's.
Yeah.
Local Akron, which is
so good.
Pretty fucking amazing. I was like, I feel good. And I watched Rogue One. I was like, the headache is back. Probably because the characters of this film.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. A lot of people are saying that Force Awakens is better or worse than Rogue One, which I don't agree with. The thing about Force Awakens is, and that's probably why I hyped up Rogue One so much, the beginning of Force Awakens, it grabs you, and Force Awakens doesn't let you go the whole fucking movie. Rogue One failed to grab you from the beginning, and you're still trying to grasp onto what can you attach yourself as an audience member to the story, and there wasn't much really to do. If you did, it took way too fucking long. Cassian with I didn't shoot your father. I'm like, cool. I mean, I still didn't like you from the beginning, which I should have.
Yeah. It's tough because like when I watched Rogue One for the first time, I remember thinking, okay, so I'm seeing Jyn's past when she's a little girl. I'm feeling like I might be a little invested in her. How is she gonna get through this situation? Are they gonna show her training? Are you gonna learn about how she, deals with the death of her mother and the capture of her father? How is this random guy that she probably barely knows, how is he going to raise her?
Yeah.
And then it's this hard cut to a title card, and then like 20, 25 years in the future, here's adult Jyn in the middle of some prison transport.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, she's a completely different character.
She is.
Because we have no idea what's happened to her during this massive time jump. And it makes it hard to connect with her. And the film rarely gives you another reason to connect with her for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
The characters are always kept at arm's length. You're rarely let in. And when you are let into the characters, it's usually because one of them has an outburst where they say something about their past. They directly state it to the screen. Like when Cassian is like, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. Okay,
right.
So there's some info about you.
Yeah, finally.
Then all of a sudden when Jin is talking with Saw, she's like, you dumped me. I was 16. And
right.
You're learning some things about her there. You never witness any of these things. You're told them by characters. And we've heard about the extensive reshoots with this movie.
Yeah.
It's very apparent to me when I watch it that it feels like perhaps the finished cut, they were afraid there wasn't enough character depth or some things had to be changed. So they have all these moments where characters just kind of throw things at you that have happened to them apparently. But since you never witnessed these things happen, it feels like all of the meat of their story has been stripped out of the movie. You could take like any big movie with great character arcs and rip out the entire middle portion of the film and just have it go from the part where the character has something impacted them bad, like the death of Jin's mom, and then just skip to her beating up stormtroopers with a stick. And you're like, what happened during this time period? You could do, like, I talk about this in my analysis that's going to go up. It's like, okay, well, what if we just see little Bruce Wayne fall into the pit with all the bats?
Yes.
And then it just cuts to him and he's Batman kicking ass.
Yeah.
What the hell happened?
Right.
During that time jump, and it makes it so hard to connect with her.
They try to do so much like lazy writing too, like in the little, I forget what fucking planet that was, but our first little big action scene with
Jedha.
Is that it?
Yeah.
And then she rescues this little kid.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, and I guess I'm supposed to like her now because she rescued this random child.
Felt so out of left field too. It was. And I think you mentioned Gareth Edwards did something similar with that.
Yes, yeah, he did with Godzilla 2014, Aaron Taylor Johnson, the little kid with the action figure he like left on the train, and then he grabs the kid and some stupid shit, and then he missed the parents, and he's like, "Oh, bring him back!"
Right.
And then the Mutu attacks, and then he has this kid like the next day, and finally randomly has the parents and finds them. Is like, I guess we'll like Aaron Taylor Johnson, but I have no problems with Gareth Edwards for the movie.
No,
there's a lot of great shots.
Parts of it feel like Gareth Edwards. Certain aspects of the opening scene look like a Gareth Edwards film.
Yeah.
Certain aspects of the final space battle look like a Gareth Edwards film.
Yeah, some of the like almost Snoracam type shots with the X-Wings.
Yeah, where it was like almost like it was connected to them.
Yes.
But then there are all these moments like the skirmish on Jedha where they're having the shootout with the stormtroopers, and it takes on an entirely new directorial way of filming, a new way of filming where it's all shaky and very Saving Private Ryan, where then the wide epic space battles and then even the finale with Darth Vader, it's all very smooth and fluid. And it's so jarring because you have two different tones. If you're going to stick with the more gritty handheld version, just stick with it.
Yeah.
But if you want to make it smooth and beautiful, stick with that.
Yes.
I mean, and it feels really, and I don't know how much you've done research about this, but there were reports that Tony Gilroy was paid an obscene amount of money to do reshoots, as the director. Like almost the same amount that J.J. Abrams was paid for Force Awakens entirely.
Shit.
That's the report. You know, I could take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like multiple people have helmed the movie.
Yeah.
And there's a reason probably the Blu-ray has no deleted scenes, because they honestly probably made an entire new film. And you can really feel it too, because you will go back and watch the first teaser trailer.
Yeah.
It's almost 90% of it is not in the film.
Yeah. That's kind of fucked up. You actually mentioned when we were watching it, the Krennic, when he arrived to the final battle, that whatever that big ass tower was, like, his hair is different. I think that's a reshoot.
Yeah.
I was like, I think you're right.
His hair looked shorter and more pressed to his head. I mean, there are moments where Felicity Jones goes from looking kind of ragged to looking a little cleaner.
Yeah.
And it's not just me like, my brain going crazy. Like, there were some really extensive reshoots done to this movie.
Yeah.
And there's also weird shit that happens that doesn't really make sense, but you can tell they had to do it. Like you mentioned at the end when Felicity Jones is like running out to the end of that tower.
Yeah.
And one of the TIE interceptors or whatever they're called.
TIE Striker, I think.
TIE Striker blows up the where she is.
Yeah.
Now, you said, how do they know that that's a rebel?
Right.
And why are they shooting at that person? In the trailer, there's a part where the TIE fighter like rises up.
Yes.
And that's not in the movie.
Nope.
So all I can think of is that in the original cut, that TIE fighter rose up, and maybe it was Krennic in a TIE fighter, maybe it was somebody, anybody, I don't know, and blasted at it.
Right. Like, oh, look, that's a rebel fucking with our shit.
Yeah, and they probably blasted at it, which destroyed that end of the tower. Now, they probably wanted to, for some reason, do a reshoot for that moment, but when Felicity Jones comes up and has a face-to-face with Krennic, the background is all blown up. So they probably had to have a reason to not have to do another reshoot to fix the background of the tower. So here comes this TIE Striker to just blow up the tower for some reason.
Yeah, it's going so fast.
It feels like someone is rapidly sewing, like just stitching random things into a shirt or patching up holes.
Yeah.
And that's just how it feels for a large portion of this movie, which I wanted to love.
Yeah, me too. I really did. I really fucking did, but oh man, what a headache! It's really a mess. Like the pacing, we both said it during the movie. It's just like it's so off. Like we don't know what we're going into. Back to the characters, man. I can't figure out this fucking droid. How fucking like nihilist this fucking guy is, or this machine is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought I liked him a little bit, but a lot of people were like, oh, he was so funny. I was like, I guess so, but at the same time, it's just like, you're gonna die. Like,
he's got some good lines.
He does.
But it really is. There's this new brand of filmmaking, and it's very Disney. That it's very Marvel. It's very Disneyified, where like they've gone away from making really great characters where they're written with depth and you see their backstories. And I'm not saying every Marvel movie does this.
Yeah.
But there is this new way of telling stories with characters where let's just make them entertaining and likable.
Ant-Man.
And say,
rather than Iron Man.
Exactly. And say funny jokes and wink at the camera.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll kick ass a lot.
Yeah.
And so you'll like them.
Exactly.
And that's just it's not enough for a Star Wars movie. It's enough for an Ant-Man. But for me, but not for a Star Wars. I mean, if I'm going to really get into one of these movies, I have to feel like I'm behind these characters. And one of the worst excuses I've seen is, well, all of them die, so they weren't really worried about fleshing them out because everybody dies. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like, no. Like, if you want me to feel something, don't just have a bunch of cardboard people running around. Every once in a while they say, hey, something happened to me once. Feel sorry for me.
Right.
Like me. I'm a cool character. Right. No, I mean, if I actually genuinely gave a shit about Jyn or Cassian or any of those other characters, this movie would have been tragic. Like, people were coming out of the premiere. Like, it's the best one since Empire Strikes Back. It's as dark as Empire Strikes Back.
No way.
I went to the screening like, this is going to be amazing. And I'm like, what? Like, there's a monkey shooting an AT-AT. This isn't dark at all. Like, this is just a fun movie that's with like a robot that makes jokes and then they all die. Like, just because they die doesn't mean it's Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, exactly. You said it right at the beginning of your point there. If you care about the characters, it makes their deaths more impactful. So, like, you actually feel emotion when they're fucking dying.
Yeah.
So, actually, you want to make the characters fleshed out so that their death is more of a feeling for you internally. Maybe you will have your eyes water. Like my one friend next to me did. He was a big fan. But I was like, it's over finally. I can tell people I was disappointed.
I remember seeing it, and I had maybe about 30 seconds of denial where I said to myself, maybe I just have a headache. And then I was in the car already driving home, and I was like, this really wasn't all that great, was it? It really wasn't. And I struggled to really piece together the issues at first, and I didn't immediately film my review. I sat around for a few hours just taking notes, thinking about it, and I came to the conclusion that it was that I actually like Revenge of the Sith a little bit more, which is I remember my buddy my buddy Flickpick called me on the way home from the screening. He was like, "How was it?" And I was like, it was okay. You know, it was okay." And he was like, "Oh," and he went, he was like, "Well, at least tell me it's better than all the prequel movies." And I went, "Well," and he went, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "Look, it's better than episode 1 and episode 2, but I think Revenge of the Sith is a little bit better." And I know that's sad because Revenge of the Sith has a lot of dialogue issues and acting issues, but we talked about this earlier.
Yes.
Revenge of the Sith feels like a one man's vision from beginning to end. It feels like a complete movie from beginning to end.
Yeah.
One guy made it. Nobody told him to do reshoots. Nobody forced him to do anything else. It was his movie from scene 1 to the ending scene. Yeah. And Rogue One feels like it was made by a committee.
Yeah, I feel Revenge is like an 8 out of 10 for me, and I think it's the best of the prequels. And honestly, I think it rewatching the original trilogy, actually watching 1 through 6, I actually like Revenge because it is more of a complete story. And it doesn't feel as ridiculous as Jedi. I think it's just like a half a point or a point above Jedi for me. So I really like Revenge of the Sith, and for me, it's like double as good as what Rogue One is.
Yeah, I gave Return of the Jedi a B+, and I gave Revenge a B. So I mean,
close, you know.
I grew up with Return.
Oh, so did I.
Return was literally my favorite as a child.
Me too. Yeah, I watched. This only VHS tape I watched over and over again.
Sure, it was my number 1 favorite. And growing up, when I did my reviews in 2015 and I rewatched it, I was like, the second act of this movie kind of drags. And there's a lot of issues here. So yeah, but I mean, with Rogue One, really seeing it 4 times now, there really is nothing incredible until the third act.
Yeah, that's true.
Everything up until then just kind of feels like a slog.
Yeah,
like you're just kind of
absolutely.
You're just kind of wading through the snow or whatever, like just kind of like getting to your destination.
Yep.
And you're tired and you want to go to bed.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying this because so many people like this movie, and I'm actually kind of blown away by it because. And I've had people say to me, like, why do you hate Rogue One? I don't hate Rogue One. No,
that's a strong word.
I don't. I was underwhelmed.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm underwhelmed. And when I'm underwhelmed by a Star Wars movie, like if people came to my house, they would see a box filled with Star Wars toys. They would see Star Wars posters, Star Wars memorabilia.
Yep.
When I'm underwhelmed by a brand new 2016 Star Wars movie, I'm going to be a lot more disappointed than if I was underwhelmed by, a Spider-Man movie or something like that, or Iron Man.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Tomb Raider, exactly. Like, if I'm underwhelmed by those kind of movies, it's like, oh, that's disappointing. But Star Wars is special to me.
Yes.
So you're going to hear me complain more about things.
Yeah, you want it to be perfect, man.
Yeah, or at least really great.
Yes.
Because, I mean, Force Awakens isn't flawless, but from beginning to end, it's entertaining.
Oh, it's very good.
And the characters are likable.
They're amazing, yeah.
And it's not just Han Solo. Like, I rewatched Force Awakens like a month or 2 ago, and I'm completely 100% riveted by the movie even before Han Solo shows up.
Oh yeah, me too.
So it's like there's nobody in Rogue One that grabs me.
No, absolutely not.
The action sequences are exciting, like in the third act, but like it's because it's X-wings and TIE fighters blowing themselves up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whoa, I remember that. There's that one Balchinian guy.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, cool.
You don't have to. There's no real effort. From a storytelling perspective, to make X-wings and TIE fighters fighting fun. Mm-hmm. Everybody likes that.
Yeah. Go play a video game.
Yeah. Everybody loves that shit.
What were you saying with Force Awakens? I literally loved, I couldn't pick a favorite character. I loved Poe.
Yeah.
I liked Kylo. I liked Han. Chewie was fucking amazing. I liked Rey. I liked Finn. I liked fucking everybody.
Yeah.
And here, it took about, I think it's the midpoint of the film with the rain and Galen Erso and Krennic on the platform. I was like, wow, I can actually start caring. And the visuals brought me into the scene. Mm-hmm. And then the emotions finally got into it. I was like, wow, you're about half a movie too late.
You know why that is?
Why?
Because in the opening scene of the movie, we became partially invested by the story of Galen Erso, Krennic, and young Jin. Then they cut to fucking 25 years later or something. Somebody will probably say it's a different year, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, whatever.
And then it becomes interesting again when we see, once again, Galen, Krennic, and Jin. Because that's how the movie started.
Yeah.
Everything leading back to those characters is just, why am I watching Riz Ahmed getting felt up by a tentacle monster?
Oh my god.
Why is Forrest Whitaker talking like he's on crack cocaine?
Yeah.
Like, why is it? And even Riz Ahmed is acting is like he was a coke addict in the movie. He's constantly twitchy, and even like at the end when he's running away from the blaster fire, he's like all twitchy and weird. And I'm like, isn't this an Imperial pilot?
Tweakers.
Don't they have to go? Don't they have to go through training or something? Why does he look like he's never been involved in a single
push-up exercise?
Yeah, like I just don't get it, man. I really. There's so much about this movie that when I've thought about it more and more has bugged me. And I have friends who are like, "You're crazy. It's amazing." And I'm like, "That's cool.
Yeah. You can like it.
Yeah, if you like it, that's great." But there's just too much in this movie where I just can't get invested in it.
I know.
Let me give you the perfect example of why. The biggest example of what I can say of how I feel about this movie, and it'll completely let you know how I feel. My dad saw A New Hope in theaters like 8 times. And if you knew my dad as well as I do, you would know that he does not give a shit about movies. The last movie my dad saw in theaters was the Phantom Menace 3D re-release.
Nice.
And before that, it was Holes.
I like Holes.
With Shia LaBeouf.
I need that Blu-ray. Disney released that damn shit.
Yeah, right. So that was in 2003. Phantom Menace was in like 12, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. 11, 13.
And so my dad loves Star Wars and he doesn't give a shit about movies.
Yeah.
Okay? When The Force Awakens came out, I was ecstatic to take my dad and show him Force Awakens. I was so excited, and he loved it. I don't even want to show him Rogue One. I'm serious. I have no desire to share that with him.
Yeah.
That's how disappointed I am in this movie, because I don't want to sit through it again and look over at my dad and have him go, "Can you rewind the Darth Vader scene?
Yeah.
Can you go back to the space battle?" Because everything up until then is just some randoms walking around and shit.
Building off that question for you, do you think that this movie was needed? Do we really need to know how they got the plans?
If it was great, I would say yeah. But I mean, I was willing to watch it. I mean, obviously the entire plot of the movie is the first 3 paragraphs of the crawl of A New Hope. And we all knew what was going to happen. We didn't know if they were going to die, but I mean, we basically knew the logistics of the story.
Yeah.
But no, in the long run, no. I don't really think it's necessary. I mean, here's the thing, man. None of these spin-off movies are actually necessary.
Yeah,
we don't need to see young Han Solo. We just all hope that it's good.
Right.
We don't need to see the rebels get the Death Star plans. We just want it to be good.
Yeah.
The original, honestly, the prequels weren't necessary.
No,
we just
really.
all wanted them to be good.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that. I do want to see a Boba Fett like expansion, but
I hope it's great.
I can totally see your point with the Han Solo. It kind of gives like a mystery of like this guy, because we meet him in the fucking cantina. It's just like, wow, who is this guy? And we kind of build up on his character without really knowing about him in the past.
Right.
So I really agree with that point there.
But that's the thing now. It's there's ever since Iron Man's end credit scene where Nick Fury came in and said, "I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, motherfucker." Ever since that scene, Hollywood has completely changed their viewpoint of things. Now everything has to be a universe. We can now fill in the gaps of everything. Back in the day, it used to be like, hey, let's make a whole bunch of Star Wars books that tell this story.
Yes.
Now Disney came in, bought Lucasfilm, and said, fuck the expanded universe. We're going to make our own expanded universe.
Yep.
Just like we are with the MCU.
Yeah.
Now even Warner Brothers is talking about creating a Matrix universe with...
I know.
Look, I'm just glad they're not doing a reboot.
Honestly, I put on Twitter, I was like, just do remakes of the sequels.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Can you do another version of Reloaded?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing now, man. Everything's a universe. Look at the King Kong.
Oh my god,
MonsterVerse.
Yeah.
MonsterVerse. Everything's a verse.
I think Universal's doing one for the Mummy.
Yes, the Mummy, Dracula, Wolfman, everything.
A thing. Oh.
Everything's a thing now, man. Everything. Pretty soon, Michael Mann's gonna make a Michael Mann verse. You're gonna have Robert De Niro and Tom Cruise bump into each other.
Yeah, before they get killed. Respective films.
Right.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
We have a lot of nitpicks about this film.
I do.
I can't get over the tentacle dude. What I call it, the Babadook, even though it's like what is his real name?
The Bagullet.
The Bagullet.
Yeah.
That's when I really checked out of the film. After that cut away, I think I went to our friend John to the right of me, and I was like, yeah, I don't know about this movie. He goes, yes. And I was like, this movie's going to do something drastic to win me over. Like, I'm waiting for it because I like bad guys, okay? I like Bane. I like the Joker. Kylo, yeah.
Vader.
So I was waiting for, like, Krennic to do something really badass, but overall, he was there. He was there.
He was like an associate businessman who was a little bit evil.
It was good acting, but it's just like he didn't really do much.
He assassinated, or he killed some people. He ordered other people to kill people, basically. Yeah. He was kind of like a member of the Gestapo or something.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Speaking of Nazis, there's a part in the opening, and this is one of my biggest nitpicks, where the Death Trooper finds a Stormtrooper doll.
Yes.
That Jyn apparently has, and it clues him in that she might be around there. Why in the living hell does this girl have a doll of a Stormtrooper? I mean, if you really want to go back to the biggest analogy that people have made with the Star Wars universe is that the Empire is the Nazis and the Rebels are the Jews. Mm-hmm. All of the Empire has like the dome-shaped helmets, just like the Nazis, the Gestapo and everything. Yeah. Would you ever see a Jewish girl during the Nazi occupation having like a Hitler doll or a Gestapo doll? No, of course not. Galen Erso hates the Empire. Why would she have a doll of a Stormtrooper? That's just so stupid.
I know.
I don't understand how there wasn't one person on the set saying like, Gareth, I don't think she would have a Stormtrooper doll because they hate the Empire. Oh, you're right. Delete. No one said that.
Yeah.
Am I stupid for...
No, I agree with you 100%. It's fucking dumb. Like, there's a lot of other dumb shit. One of the biggest ones for me, besides the Bagullet, is the fucking... I love Donnie Yen. I think he's my favorite character of the whole film. But him beating the shit out... And Jyn beating the shit out of people with sticks when they have armor on. And you have some of this armor. You have a Stormtrooper outfit.
Yeah, I got to
even though it's not the real thing, it's just like a prop, but that's still armor. You're not gonna get knocked unconscious with a fucking stick when you have armor on.
No, it's the same. It's the same deal with Return of the Jedi when the Ewoks were throwing rocks at the stormtroopers. You're like, yeah, I don't really buy that at all. That doesn't really happen.
A little bit better than a stick though, but it's just like
better than the stick. Yeah,
so much dumb shit happens.
I have like you said, I have a plastic stormtrooper suit, and it's hard. Like if someone hit me with a stick, I would feel the vibration and it would probably jar me. But they all have blasters. Like, there were like 5 or 6 stormtroopers with blasters, and she's just going in there and Captain America the shit out of them.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what?
She Captain America's that fucking shit when she blows the glass and jumps onto like the little tower of all the hard drives.
Oh yeah, they're Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, that's what you said for Cassian when he came over.
Yeah, they're Spider-Man. They just jump over.
Speaking of Cassian, I want to go right into Cassian because I've heard this thing on Twitter. People are like, "Oh my god, Cassian, he's such a great character." I'm like, "No, he's not." And they said, "Oh, when he kills that guy at the beginning," that's when I was like, "What the fuck is this?" When he kills his friend.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand what he's doing, but at the same time, I'm like, whoa, seriously? Mm-hmm. There's no other option for this dude. The person on Twitter said, "Oh, you can see it all in his face, the conflict." And I was specifically watching when we were watching it earlier for this fucking conflict in his face. And he has a look, he's just like, oh, like, I regret doing that. But he doesn't have this like, whoa, this character moment that makes me want to like him.
No, I mean, there are multiple reasons why he might have done that. He blasts some stormtroopers, alerting the other stormtroopers. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, I can't make it out of here because of my leg. So there's a number of reasons he might have decided to kill this guy because he didn't want the Empire to capture him and maybe torture him, or because he's just a dick and he's like, okay, I got my info. I don't want you to rat me out to the Empire.
Yeah.
And I understand that like this movie is essentially the rebels before they have hope, as the CGI Princess Leia says at the end. So they're scattered, they're in disarray. You know, I get it. I get what they're saying, and they don't really have like the real rebel hope until episode 4 because of the plans. I understand. It's just that it's not entertaining. The good and evil are so black and white. They're not black and white. Yeah. It's a gray area.
Yeah, it is.
It feels very washed out, and a lot of people have said, well, that's what it's supposed to be. It's like real war, you know? It's like, it's real, you know? There are no good guys and bad guys. It's real war. I'm like, this is a fictional universe. Yeah. This isn't real. One of my biggest complaints with the movie was they marketed Darth Vader and he's barely in it. And he's barely in it. And somebody said to me through text, they were like, Darth Vader doesn't have to be in this movie because Darth Vader is not integral to this story. He was never supposed to be integral to this story. And I just replied, this is a fictional universe written by human beings on planet Earth. You can do whatever you want as long as it adheres to a few story beats of episode 4 and 3. You can literally put Darth Vader in the entire film if you wanted to. Yeah. Instead, they opted for CGI Peter Cushing for some damn reason. And my sister, she sent me an email. She was like, hey, thanks to Rogue One, I finally realized what the uncanny valley means. And I'm like, that's true, because everyone was tweeting about that and writing about it, like the uncanny valley, the whole thing where it's like you are taken out of something because you feel like something's off, something's not real. Yep. Every time they showed that CG face, I'm just like, that's not real. Stop doing that. And they kept showing him in these grand close-ups. And what I said in my spoiler review was like, just have like 1 or 2 scenes with Tarkin. I get that he has to be in the movie. Find a way to do it. Like, I liked how they introduced him and his reflection against the glass.
Yeah, pretty artsy.
That was fine. And just take like the 7 other scenes he's in and stick Vader into them. Yeah. Just why not? Yeah. Why? I don't know why Gareth Edwards. Look, if you're perchance listening to this, I think you're a very talented filmmaker.
He is.
Okay, seriously, and I really like what you do with cinematography. But with Godzilla and now this, he has 2 movies back to back that he's made with an incredibly iconic character that he consistently chooses not to feature. Yeah. And I don't understand why.
See, I actually would have been pretty more blah, blah, blah. It'd be more badass if Vader wasn't actually known at all, so it might be a marketing problem. Can you imagine if like we didn't know and he just fucking shows up?
True.
Then again, this is the internet. A lot of people spoil shit, so
of course
somebody might have leaked it anyway.
First 3 words in Last Jedi reveal what we need to know about Luke. It's like, shut up. Can you just go watch the damn movie?
Yeah, seriously.
I'm so tired of all the reporting of every inch of these Star Wars movies.
Oh, I've blocked the shit out of a lot of people and muted like a lot of news sites on Twitter.
Yeah, I've stopped following a lot of news sites because I'm tired of knowing everything before I see a movie. I want to go in blind.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing that right now for Alien Covenant.
Yeah, I'm done watching trailers for that.
Absolutely. I haven't seen one thing, so hopefully that movie's actually pretty good. But you said when we were watching it, you're like, back to the earlier point you were saying, that the rebels, look, they're kind of like dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your opinion on this.
The thing is, it's like, it's such a gray area in this movie because they show these characters and you're supposed to feel like it's in the middle of this war where they have no hope and the whole goal is to get some hope, so you got to get the Death Star plans. But they do things like when the band of rebels go to, I think, Edu, where Galen Erso is. Mm-hmm. Cassian is secretly thinking about assassinating him. Mm-hmm. He's not telling anybody. When they land, and they kind of crash land, and even though Riz Ahmed or Bodhi Rook, had no seatbelt or anything on, yeah, he apparently lived. Yeah. Anyway, they crash, and so their signal gets distorted and goes away. And they cuts back to the rebel base, and the one rebel commander is like, "We've lost contact. Send a team to bomb the base." Yeah. I'm like, "Wait a second, what?" Yeah. Like, even if you lost contact for a second, you know, even if you lost contact for a second, you know that they're at least there. Like, maybe they blew up and maybe they're dead, and that's what you're thinking. But like, No, and then of course the rebels come and literally kill Galen Erso. They bomb the bridge and they could have killed everybody. I'm like, God, why do I give a shit about the rebels now? Like who am I supposed to be pulling for in this movie?
Yeah,
who am I really supposed to be pulling? You know who the story in this film that I'm most invested in? The one we don't see. What Galen Erso and what he...
Yeah, exactly.
The movie that I think would be far more interesting is Galen Erso being forced to build the Death Star. And the pain that he goes through in trying to do that. His daughter disappears. His wife is killed before his eyes. I was considerably more invested in Galen Erso instantly than I was in Little Jin.
Yeah.
Same thing in Gareth Edwards' Godzilla. I was considerably more invested in Bryan Cranston's character than Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
But what do? Spoilers. They kill off Bryan Cranston and go focus on Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was kind of more invested in the story with Bryan Cranston watching his wife die right before his eyes.
Yeah, and he turns into this like nut job.
Yeah, same with Rogue One. I was more invested in Galen Erso and what was happening there.
Right.
It's just I don't know, man. The decisions that were made in telling this movie, like I said, well intentioned, just the wrong decisions. I think.
Yeah. Lots of wrong decisions.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the fan reactions?
Yeah, sure. Because I think, you know me, I don't really go with the crowd sometimes.
Sure.
And after we were in the lobby of the Cinemark, and you're like, "What'd you think? What'd you think?" I was like, you're like, "Wow, really good job. You made your own opinion."
I remember that. I remember looking at you being like, "Oh, good."
Yeah.
Because I'm just so tired of everybody, I must have watched 100 reviews of Rogue One in a couple of days.
Damn.
And like 90% of them were, "Oh my God, best movie ever made." and that's fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really is. I'm not one of I don't have to have people agree with me. I don't need validation.
Same.
I require no validation to be content. I said Kong Skull Island sucked before I saw a single review.
Yeah, me too.
And it's got like a 78 on Rotten Tomatoes, which blows my mind.
I know, it's crazy.
Blows my mind.
Crazy.
Nevertheless.
At least it was at 80, so it's going down.
Yeah.
Going back down to earth.
Nevertheless, I don't require validation. So when you said I didn't like it, I was like, okay. Okay.
I'm not alone.
At least I I don't require the validation of agreeing with me that the movie is disappointing, but I just like that people are out there willing to not always go with the flow.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because when Phantom Menace came out, it took a long time for people to kind of come off the hype. Because up until then there were no bad Star Wars movies.
Nope.
And so George Lucas was back, and George Lucas was going to write it. Yeah. So everything was just pushing towards think about hearing about the Phantom Menace cast. Liam Neeson, Samuel L. Jackson.
Fuck yeah.
All these actors. Oh my God. The guy playing the Emperor is back. And so, and then that was so disappointing, but it took people a while to be like, ugh. I don't know if people are Phantom menacing, as I say, Rogue One, because people are going to feel however they want to feel, and I can't tell people how they feel. But
yeah.
I've seen such ecstatic reactions of that this over the top hype with this movie that just seems so unrealistic for some reason. Because, dude, you and me watch a lot of movies every year. And just because there's a really cool battle at the end, up until then, the movie's dull as fuck.
Yeah. A lot of things don't wipe out the rest of the film.
No. And that's the thing right now is like set up a movie, set up a world, set up a universe, throw some cardboard people in there, and then have like balls out action for the last 30 minutes.
Yes.
Kong Skull Island did that as well. Let's have Tom Hiddleston. What's his character?
I don't fucking know.
His character is Tom Hiddleston. Let's have Brie Larson. She has a nice smile.
Yeah.
We'll throw her in this movie. And then they don't do anything. They wander around. John C. Reilly's funny, right? Yeah, he's Dr. Brule. He'll tell some jokes.
Yeah. Hey, I got this monkey behind me.
Yeah. We talk about friendship. Friendship with monkeys. These monkeys are not friends. There's skull crawlers on this island. They beat people up. They're not friendships.
That sounds kind of stupid now I say it.
Yeah. And then, of course, at the end, there's like a big battle between Kong and the monster, and you leave on a high note, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Rogue One did the same thing.
Wow, yay!
Yeah, you wait for the whole movie to see Darth Vader do something. He finally kills some people, and you're like, oh shit, that was cool.
Right. Wow!
And then you leave, and you're like, I want to see that again.
Right.
I timed it, man. It was 30 seconds. 30 seconds, Darth Vader does something. 30 seconds. It's a 2-hour, like 18-minute movie. It's 30 seconds. Okay, it was awesome, but it was... It's just... The ships looked cool. Like I when we watched it, when it first cuts to that fucking epic shot of the Star Destroyer,
yes,
above Scarif, I was like, "Whoa, color!" Because it shows the planet. It's blue and green.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Color!" All of a sudden,
wow.
Everything up until then was brown.
Yeah, it was depressing,
like dirty and filthy looking. And like there's this. This fan thing that were fans like the filthy looking Star Wars, the lived in future. I agree. But the original trilogy still had an abundance of color.
Yeah, Tatooine.
Yeah, even though it looked lived in and filthy. Yeah. This movie kind of mistaked that for just a bunch of filth everywhere and dirt and brown and like murky gray colors. Yeah. That for the third act, when you're on Scarif, it just looked so visually stimulating all of a sudden that it was like again like a different movie.
Yeah, they might have shown actually a lot of Scarif shit in the trailers too.
Yeah,
and maybe some space stuff, but not so much of like, oh, here's the dirty planets where we're doing stuff that no one cares about on the first act and second act, first half of the second act.
It's like I say this in my analysis video I'm going to be posting. It's like. Bodhi Rook has a mind-reading tentacle, like Squidward monster, probe his brain, and we still don't learn anything about him.
Nope.
How crazy! How stupid is that?
Well, that has to be one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time.
Let's have this thing attached to his brain. Have an entire scene dedicated to it, but we're not going to learn a single thing about him, and he's still going to throw him in jail anyway. And then he's going to say he's a pilot 100 times.
Yeah, isn't the whole point of that little tentacle monster is to find out if he's lying?
Yes.
Well, yeah, so they knew he wasn't fucking lying. Yes. Why is he in fucking jail?
I don't know. I really don't. I have no idea. If you watch the teaser trailer, there's all these scenes with a bald Forrest Whitaker. Mm-hmm. But the only time in the movie he's bald is the opening scene when he rescues Jin. Yes. The rest of the movie, he's got like that long, that sticky up, his gray hair.
His beard, yeah.
Yeah. His hair is all sticky and sticking out, you know? Yeah. I'm like, okay, so there was obviously a lot of other scenes with him. And there's that line in the trailer where the first teaser where he's like, what will they do what will you do if they break you? What will you become? And he's clearly instructing Jin in some way. Yeah. And none of this is in the movie.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, because I'm not in the fucking production team, but maybe the whole, when he has his hair growing out and his beard growing out, whole fucking shit might have been a reshoot.
Yeah,
because if they had more of his bald, I'm assuming they would have had him bald later. But they're like, oh no, because he was older. Maybe we'll have him as a beard now and his hair growing out. Maybe, and maybe we'll change his voice too because he's different because he's broken. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. And Gareth's probably like, God damn it, all right, or whoever he shot it.
And that really over the top moment where he takes his breathing tube out and the music's like. I was like, what the hell just happened?
Oh my God, you pointed that shit out because you've seen it more than me. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, it wasn't fucking funny enough that he's, fucking takes it from his chest and breathes and then puts it back down.
The music's like,
makes it even worse.
It's like this really over the top moment.
My brain.
Whenever I see a movie like this and it doesn't really connect with me the way I would like it to, and it leaves me underwhelmed. And then I see that like a lot of people are like really digging it. Like for some reason, a lot of critics really loved Kong, but it seems like people aren't as into it as critics. Strangely, when it comes to Rogue One, like why do you think that a lot of people are okay with it? Like they enjoy it?
Critics or audience people?
Both.
I think more audience people because like, oh look, C-3PO for 6 seconds, like. It was just all a bunch of like nods, and they're all like nostalgic about it, maybe. Instead of really concentrating on these new characters they're trying to like build up, or they end up dying. But I don't know how they maybe because I like Kasdan, and Kasdan did a great fucking job writing that script for Force Awakens and Empire, and
yeah,
I really think they probably could have benefited from somebody like him creating the characters.
I would love to see whatever the first cut of Rogue One was.
I would too. I'd watch it be like a Criterion 20 years from now.
Well, you and I were talking about this during the movie. It's like Star Wars is really kind of a gigantic, famous thing. Mm-hmm. I would be surprised if at some point some footage wasn't unearthed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the same time, we're still waiting for a Blu-ray of the original cuts of the original trilogy.
I was about to say the exact same thing because I'm like, okay, this is 40th year. Where the fuck is the restored version without the special effects for at least the first fucking film?
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know. It just underwhelmed me.
Yeah, it's very underwhelming for me.
There's nobody to latch onto, really.
No. It takes too late to do that shit for me.
Like, I have a box of Star Wars figures, you know?
Yeah.
And I bought a Rey hot toy and I bought a Kylo Ren hot toy. Mm-hmm. I have absolutely no desire to buy a single figure of any of these characters.
Yeah. When we were doing our vlog for Rogue One Force Friday, which was actually kind of underwhelming compared to the year previously, probably because it was an episodic film and not too many people showed up and cared. But it was a nice event. I remember I was like, oh, look at this Stormtrooper. I was like, I'd rather wait for the hot toy. Good thing you didn't pre-order it.
Me too.
And actually, I'm going to do a special video with a bunch of Rogue One figures. And when I'm done with it, I'm probably not going to keep anybody. Maybe Donnie Yen and his buddy with the gun, the big-ass gun.
Baze.
Yeah, Baze. I think it's Malzus or something. I'll probably keep Donnie, his character. But I'm probably not going to keep any other characters. I don't give a shit about Jin or Cassian. I actually kind of fucking hate Cassian. It took me a while to actually be like, all right, this guy's all right. Because he, like, just like we said earlier, all the rebels are fucking dicks.
Yeah, they are.
And Cassian was the leader of all those fucking penises.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember my best way to equate, like, the reaction whenever you say I don't like Rogue One or I was disappointed in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. When The Amazing Spider-Man first came out, there were a few critics who came onto YouTube saying that they thought it sucked. Mm-hmm. And one of them was a friend of mine. And I remember that they got so much hate for saying The Amazing Spider-Man sucked.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, 5 years later, is it uncommon for you to hear that The Amazing Spider-Man sucks?
I'm not sure. I can answer with this. I haven't seen it since seeing it once.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like that movie.
Yeah.
Myself included.
Yeah.
I think with big movies like this where people are so ready to see it, it takes time, unfortunately, for people to kind of step back and realize, oh, well, that could have been better.
Exactly.
I'm not saying that people are wrong for liking it. I'm just saying that it's really easy because I've done this myself.
Yeah, me too.
I will never, ever act like I've never done this. When I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I drank the Kool-Aid. I said it was good for like at least a year.
Yeah.
Into like 2009. Yeah. I was in complete denial of how disappointing that movie was. So I completely understand the intense love of a character or of a series and just really wanting it to be good for
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
But when it comes to this movie, from the very first time I saw it, I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I was on both sides of the road there. I was high on the Jurassic World toys, and I came back down to Earth like, this shit sucks. Mm-hmm. And that video went viral, and it helped me out become a big member of the Jurassic Park community. And then also for Kong Skull Island, I did a podcast, and I said it was terrible. And I got I think I have 100 thumbs up, and I got 67 or something thumbs down. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, whatever. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you have to give it a thumbs down or hate me for it. It's just an opinion.
I bet you a lot of those were before they even saw it too.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I told you this. I told you this through Messenger, and I'll tell you for the podcast when I first saw Last Airbender. I remember I had seen it at a screening like a week early before anybody else, and I came home and I did my review just fucking lambasting that, just tearing shit, tearing assholes everywhere for Last Airbender, and I got so much hate.
It's ridiculous
for saying for saying it was bad. Now, of course, Last Airbender is so much worse than Kong, but I mean, I got so much hate because no one wanted to believe me. Mm-hmm. No one wanted to, and I get when you come out when like a movie is brand new and it's not out yet, and you say, "Hey guys, this anticipation you have, it's unwarranted. Yeah. It's gonna let you down." People get disappointed. People get depressed. When it came to Kong Skull Island, I just was like, "No, I'm sorry, this isn't good." And I feel like it's gonna be one of those movies where, like, there are a handful of movies where the critics, I just don't get what they were thinking. Mm-hmm. For one, Indiana Jones 4 has like a 77 or something. Sometimes critics go to a movie and they're like, "Yeah, it was fun," Yeah,
they check out maybe.
Even Spider-Man 3 has a fairly high.
No way.
It's like 62 or something.
Oh wow.
I don't know, something like that. In the end, we live in a modern age where everything is equated to a number. Mm-hmm. Everything's a percentage.
Yeah, what's this on Metacritic? What's this
exactly? I talked about this in my analysis of that movie Stay.
Yes.
That when something is assigned a grade now or a percentage, it's just kind of doomed to stick with that. Mm-hmm. And if it's high, like in the case of Rogue One, people will use it for years to come as a defense. Mm-hmm. Like if you don't like Rogue One, hey, it's got an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, so you're wrong. Yeah. I got a buddy. I won't call him out, but I got a buddy who he was really excited for Kong, and he saw my review of Kong about 3 days before it came out, and he texted me, and he said, "It's got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think you're wrong, LOL."
I think I know this buddy, and he messaged me too, and saying why did I hate it,
and I was like, I'm not wrong. I just didn't. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And anyone who likes Rogue One isn't wrong for liking Rogue One.
Yeah, exactly. You can like Rogue One.
Of course you can. Like I started out liking it, seeing it, thinking it was okay.
Yeah.
4 viewings later, I think it's very mediocre.
Yeah. It really is. I was gonna buy I was so excited. I was gonna buy the Disney store. I don't know if they have them anymore, but they used to have these really awesome, like almost like discount Hot Toys. They're about 11 inches tall rather than 12 inches tall. They had like a really good looking Krennic, and I was like, I'm gonna buy the Krennic. They have this Death Trooper, and they had Jin, and they might have had one other character. And I was like, because I bought the Vader, the Leia, the Rey, and the Kylo, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna collect all this line. And then I saw the film. I was like, I'm never fucking buying toys before a big movie ever again. I think episode 8 will be good, and I'll buy episode 8 shit. Yeah. But I'm never fucking buying toys before I see a film, because I bought a shit ton. I bought more Rogue One stuff than I bought episode 7 stuff.
It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous. I'm never doing that again. I ended up not buying the Disney store, even though I really recommend them if you want to get those because they look great. I didn't buy them because I was so disappointed and put off by the film.
It's dangerous, man. It's you want to love it, you want to like it, and there's also, like, when it comes to you and me now, if you're gonna try to build like credibility as somebody who shares their opinion, mm-hmm. you got to make sure you don't come off like a humongous just lover of everything,
Yeah.
So I've struggled with that over the years because I do love Star Wars. I really do, and I love Star Wars, and I struggled with it when I saw this. I was like, do I love Star Wars or do I love Rogue One? And it really it was tough because Spider-Man, Spider-Man's was like my guy growing up.
Yeah.
Batman, these guys, I fucking love these characters, and so it's always a struggle. You're talking about not buying toys before you see the movie. I have to be careful to not decide how I feel before I see a movie.
Yeah,
it's always a struggle.
Yes.
When you're offering your opinion on a movie.
Yeah, good God. It's like, you invaded their house or something. Yeah. Stole the dog. Well, I think that'll do it. That was a fucking great discussion. We'll do this definitely again. I don't know what movie we could do it for.
Well, we're coming up to the summer season. So
oh, yeah, it'll be tons of shit. Maybe Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
We can do Spider-Man.
We can do episode 8 together if you want.
We're definitely doing every fucking Star Wars film. I'm going to have you on the show.
Cool.
For sure. Then we'll do like some Marvel stuff.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, so thanks, guys, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Chris, for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
You guys, if he kept on talking about the analysis, I'm going to put a link in the description down below, as well as a little collaborator link. You can click his channel if you aren't already subscribed to him. Well, come on, people, you're subscribed to him, right? You guys are bums if you're not.
Well, thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, guys, for listening. Peace out.
End of line. Good luck and congratulations on choosing
C-Tar Press.